Hello, hello! Welcome to a new chapter of Dungeon Meshi, chapter 69. Nice. If you may remember, like years and years and years ago, we were reading this series from the very start on my channel. At some point, I realized it was, I don't know, I just didn't have the time to read every single chapter that had come out, although I really wanted to. So I fell behind, and only recently did I catch up. I picked an extremely exciting time to catch up. That is for sure. We are heading into what seems to be one of the ultimate climaxes of the whole series, as they square off against the mad sorcerer, the dungeon master himself, Thistle. They've taken care of the problem with Farrellyn in her bizarre chimera half-dragon form. They've managed to subdue her, well, outright kill her, actually. And then the plan, I guess, is to revive her after such a method has been made to extract her from the rest of the monster, probably involving Thistle. Meanwhile, Thistle is squaring off against the half of the winged lion, the other half, of course, imprisoned somewhere we don't really know. And the rest of the party is, doing what they do best. Getting hungry. Have to become lord of this dungeon. The reason why is now that we've killed Farrellyn, the plan we made to eat the dragon part of her and revive her just got more difficult. It's possible for us to finish eating it all. No, we can drag this massive body up closer to the surface, be able to gather more people. Okay, so if he becomes dungeon master, he's just going to lift up this entire layer of the dungeon, way, way down in the bottom, where basically no one has ever gone before, and connect it at the top, where of course the elf scouts, the canaries, and the other party are in utter chaos, trying to evacuate the dungeon before it becomes totally overrun with monsters, and or trying to cause a surge of people into the dungeon to trigger that exact monster overflow. In order to save Farrellyn, I have to become the lord of the dungeon. Not only against Thistle, but against the food's expiration date. I mean, that kind of is an issue. They have to be able to eat it. Okay. Yeah, his ability to manipulate the space of the dungeon is going to be tough. The winged lion trying to hold back Thistle's power, and we've been eating and sleeping properly every single day. Can't do anything to be better prepared than we are now. Okay. I love... I think one of the most consistently funny parts of the series is just the looks of concerns on everyone's faces whenever Laius is talking. Like, literally every time he's talking, you just look at the shots of other characters, even Senshi sometimes, and they're like, Okay, here we go. They head into the dungeon master's house, and up on the table, where the disturbing mannequins of his former friends, is Thistle. Holding both books. I suppose the other half of the winged lion is in the other book. And a flute. Very simple looking flute. And in the background, because it's Dungeon Meshi and we can never stray too far from food, some delicious looking sausages and corn cobs and cloves of garlic. The winged lion lost. What awful table manners. So everyone understands right away the implication of him holding both of these books. This means that there is no restrictions on his dungeon manipulation powers. If he wanted to, he could chop off this part of the house and send it miles and miles away. Totally encased in stone. Seems like a hard matchup. Like, the only reason that they've gotten away this far is that Thistle has been, distracted or didn't care or whatever. Now that it's just a straight-up confrontation, and he's already heard from the winged lion, what their intents are and stuff, that they want to supersede him as Dungeon Master, I don't see how they can get out of this one. Killed my dragon again, have you? Killed my monsters and made meals of them, and you ransacked my home. They cleaned his home, come on. Keep on doing this, you filthy, greedy wretches. Always trying to steal something from me. This time I'll crush you so not even a speck of flesh is left behind. Okay, I don't see how they can win this. Yeah, get behind me. Marcille is really strong, don't get me wrong. So are all of them in their own ways, but yeah, like, they're fighting against space. Against the very space that they're in. Leia's got whacked the hardest. Must suck being a tall man. Don't want to hurt you, okay? Just please listen to what we have to say. Leia's is kind of out of it. He got maybe concussed a bit. Exactly what you desire. I'm gonna steal the dungeon's power away from you and turn yourself into a complete elf. No. We actually learned what Marcelle's dream was, and it's a beautiful, noble dream of removing the divide between the long-lived races and the short-lived races. And I think this series is really amazing in that, you know, at first I didn't even think it was going to have, like, lore, you know? I thought it was just, like, a silly Let's Eat Monsters series. But then the lore isn't just, like, you know, kind of novel twists on your traditional elves versus dwarves, humans show up at some point, blah, blah, blah. But one that actually, like, takes a look at a very typical fantasy trope, which is that some of these races live an order of magnitude longer than the others, and thinking about how that would manifest in society, thinking about the actual sociological issues that would cause, and using that as the foundation of all of these conflicts, all of these more traditional stories. It's really cool. And to kind of, like, put that right in the forefront as that being Marcelle's dream. I'm not quite sure how feasible that is to accomplish just by becoming the master of one dungeon, but I thought that was very interesting. So no, Thistle is wrong here. I'm not really sure where this idea came from, that Marcelle is just jealous of full elves. As far as we know, Marcelle is still going to live to the ripe old age of, like, 1,000 or whatever. It's not her selfishness. It's not anything like that. Oh. But she is kind of freaked out by this. Oh, I guess nobody else knew. See, I was confused about this too. Because they made... Thistle refers to her as a half-elf. And I think in other occasions, people referred to her as a half-elf. Like the Winged Lion, maybe. When she was, like, all alone. But I guess this is the first time it was actually brought up in front of the rest of the party. Like, I wasn't sure. Like, I was like, oh, did they mention that and I missed it? Was this part of Marcelle's backstory that I forgot about? But no, this is the first time that everyone is hearing of her true origin. Got it all wrong. I've never once desired to become a full-blooded elf. See, this idea of, like, oh, you know, the things where elves take for granted that all people of all other races look up to them, admire them. Like this is really nice lore crafting, like world building, I think, in that she's, like, sick of it. Like, it establishes it as this long-term thing that goes back well before the series starts. And it does it in such, like, a personable, like, relatable way that she's just kind of, like, annoyed and embarrassed because she's dealt with it so many times. Like, that kind of exposition, I think, is really, really good. And it really gives the world, like, a living history, that it's not just events, it's not just setting, it's not just the various abilities of the different races, but it feels like a world that they've all been living in for generation after generation that has built up this sort of society. People with mixed long and short-lived race ancestry tend to fare better than those with pure-blooded parentage. Lance just calls her a mule. This is true, though. I've heard that mules are like kind of a powerful hybrid, that they outclass both their parents in all sorts of ways. I don't think they're superior in every way. There's no way a mule is as fast as a horse, but whatever. Same with, like, a liger. I'm pretty sure a liger is, like, bigger and stronger than a lion or a tiger. You're more sturdy than short-lived races, can outlive even elves. All comes with a cost. Your growth speed and lifespan are inherently unstable, and you are unable to bear children. It's exactly like a mule. Oh, this is so fascinating. And of course the series would take special care to consider these sorts of details and kind of come up with some elaborations, some revelations that can happen through genetics, because the series is all about how did these monsters come to be? How do they live their lives? What is the genetic and evolutionary basis of what they're like? Half-breeds cannot live their lives in the same flow of time as any other race. 100 years from now, nobody will be there to sit around a table and share a meal with you. Does that make you terrified? Is that why you desire the dungeon's power so you can change your fate? Now that is actually getting closer. And I don't think she's going to like it. That he was able to, of course coming at it from the exact wrong ultimate goal, arrive at her true dilemma, her true tragedy of being desynced in her time scale from all of her friends. Oh, such amazing expression drawing. This series, man. What else compares to just conveying so much emotion in comedic times, in sad times, in exciting times? I'm terribly busy after all. Take this. Alright. Yo! Oh, mini arc! Oh, this could have a lot of fun. He turned the kitchen huge. Okay. This is fun. This has good implications for cooking. We're gonna go ratatouille up in here. How can you cook with a body this small? If you want to slay and eat a dragon that badly, then I'll prepare a feast for you. Oh, and Farland is gonna become huge too? It starts raining. This is a very cool shot. Thistle casting this spell. I guess the flute is sort of his staff equivalent. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you can do that as the dungeon master, that's right. You can just be like, monsters. Now, you know, it's probably easier just to squish them. Right? Like, he already had good success for the squish them technique. Just push the block down lower. But this is a lot more exciting, for sure. This is going to be a boss battle for the ages. Let's see, we got a lot of monsters I don't recognize. Some wyverns or whatever they're called. Big dragon-looking thing in the back. There's like a big pile of snakes, a hydra-looking beast, a gigantic long-style dragon, an eastern-style dragon up there, and a more western-style dragon. Some big lizard worm snake thing over here on the left. This is pretty wild. This is pretty good. Goro, Goro, Goro. Oh, look at this. Oh, I'm so glad we're getting shots like this. Yeah, this Eastern-style dragon I am so curious about. Just the series' willingness to throw in any sort of, you know, traditional fantasy monster, any sort of aesthetic trope, any sort of, you know, cultural representation or whatever. It reminds me a lot of One Piece. It has that same sort of freedom. Anything could show up, and yet always with this series' unique kind of mentality around it. You know that it's not just going to show up as like this entity, but as a living creature that has all of these physical properties, all of this genetic reality. So exciting. What in the world? It's dragons. It's a whole lot of dragons. Every type of dragon you can shake a stick at. Green dragons, red dragons, a worm, verns. I don't know how to pronounce this word. I've never been able to pronounce this word. Wyverns. An eastern dragon. That must be the one that made the storm. I am happy with monster trivia. But yeah, this is crazy. How can they possibly beat these? How can they possibly eat these? Green dragons are extremely agile dragons. Even if we flee, we'll never be able to outrun them. Obsessed with golden and silver treasure. You can distract them with the silverware. It all comes down to food. So heavy. It's pure silver. Chasing down Senshi. He hides under the cooking pot. I love the paneling on this page. I think this is something manga is so good at, is just like breaking into a little rhythm. Just within a page, you establish like a new kind of pacing and timing. Oh no! Oh, he's getting cooked! No! He get cook! He will never get cook! Uh-oh. Green's Dragon's Flame as needed. Oh man. This is starting to look like one of those encounters in an RPG that you're just... It's like a story loss, you know? You have to lose for the story to progress. That there's no way, or maybe only very esoteric methods to actually win when you're supposed to lose. I'm starting to feel that dread emerge, especially with the almost comedic baked senshi, because I assume we're going to repeat that as the other characters get cook. That means we can still breathe fire. Good thing it's not very agile. Let's run towards the wash basin. Let's just do this. They get it on the boat. Yeah, they're gonna get boiled. Oh my gosh, it's a shark. What in the heck? Is this seawater? What the heck is going on? And then he walks right into this winged dragon. Wow. This is an ice dragon, I guess. Making a Chilkakrubi? I don't know what that is. A Ruibe? But yeah, it looks like we're gonna wipe. It looks like this is a party wipe situation. And I think it's gonna come down to the winged dragon to kind of set things right. Seawater? A lot. Poor Itsuzumi. Izutsumi is pickled, Leviathan, and a white dragon. More than just living beings, they're calamities. Monsters we can hope to stand up just by eating properly every day. It's gonna be alright. I love that he says that to himself. Everything's gonna be right. What an amazing protagonist Laios is. Slip by the dragon, get over to where Thistle is, and take him out directly. Rezzing everyone can come after that. So as soon as he thinks of rezzing people, of course he thinks of Marcille. So won't be able to bring anyone back to life. Gotta get her someplace safe. Yes. I think it's too late for her. A worm. Dragon that lives in dark caves and breathes out toxic gases. She's got to sneak away from it. It's like one of these ancient lizards that doesn't have good perception. Oh, this is just so fun though. The fact that it's taking place in like a giant kitchen. It puts, like, as I said, I think this is going to be an intentional party wipe. And it isn't the nature of the series to get too dour about it, to make the reader kind of panic. Which is why there's this levity of showing the recipes of the party members and stuff. And I think having it be in the giant kitchen also adds a lot to that very comedic flair. Because think about this otherwise. If this was taking place in the normal dungeon, if this had the same level of like crisis as, you know, the Hippogriff or the original Red Dragon encounter or the Kraken or any number of their close calls, and it was with this level of power against them, this level of monsters, it would be like unpleasant. Like it would be like a devastating situation, and it still is. I just saw Marcille bleed blood. She's bleeding blood out of the eyes. She's crying blood. She's coughing up blood. This is brutal. Shinkei Jimi. Maybe at the end of the chapter they'll explain what these dishes are. I haven't heard of this either. A Shinkai Jime. Shinkai Jime? Is it one of those things where it's actually like cooked in poison somehow? And then fermented and saved? Ooh. Riding on the Eastern Dragon. How does it feel to be turned into a meal by monsters? Yeah. Make sure the dragon eats every last bit of your bodies. No doubt they'll appreciate your sacrifices. And Thistle cackling with laughter. Came all this way. It's not fair. It's just not fair. Is this how it ends? What can he do? What can he do? I never really understood what they were going to do in the first place against Thistle, now that the winged dragon had been, or the winged lion had been subdued. Whoa! Dragon on dragon? Living beings. Sure, they may be the stuff of legends. They may be calamities, but dragons are living creatures after all. Okay. So maybe it's not the forced wipe after all. Maybe it's not the story progression wipe. But instead, yet another lesson on the behavior of these wild monsters. They want to eat each other. More than anything else, they want to eat each other. How can he use this to his benefit? But it's still like a really rough spot because Marcille is down. So I guess the winged lion should be able to revive people? I don't know. But this feels very, like, entire plot climax, right? Like, I think we're heading into the end of the series, for sure. I'm very, very excited to get to start making videos about this again. I hope you're excited to read them. Okay, cool. We get to hear about this. The Ainu people of Hokkaido. Ripe, thawing fish. Freezing a fish such as salmon and cod, while it's still frozen, it's sliced and eaten raw. That sounds kind of good. Yeah, that sounds very interesting. I'd like to try that. The closest I've had is sushi restaurants where they haven't let the fish warm up enough from refrigeration. In Golden Kamui, which I haven't read. I guess they enjoy it. Neat. And Shinkei Jime. Inserting a wire into a still living fish to destroy its spinal cord, which severs the nerves, paralyzing the fish. Huh, wow. So it just kind of keeps the fish in like a weird state of suspended animation. So it's not dead, but it's not going to move around or anything either. But it doesn't rot as quickly. Terrifying? Is that what happened to Marcille? Like maybe she's still alive, I guess? The first kanji in this means God, by the way, in Shinkei. So that's disturbing too. I don't really know what that could mean. Okay, very good chapter. Very excited to read what could be the finale of this series in these next few chapters with everyone. Really hoping to see more dragon action, especially the Eastern dragon. The idea that it could call up a storm. Of course, in like mythology and stuff that this is making reference to, dragons would do that sort of stuff all the time. But in the much more like scientific, grounded world of Delicious and Dungeon Meshi, how will they explain the ability to conjure up a storm? Very interesting. Okay, let's look forward to the next chapter. Bye-bye for now.